Hello everyone, I'm Amethyst Dream Witch, and today I'm going to be explaining how I make my teas and tisanes. So this is my lovely little setup. This is the only place I will make my teas. It's obviously got my kettle, two of my favourite mugs and one that I haven't yet used. I'm still working up to that because it's more for tea leaf reading, because it's that special mug that has the symbols on the inside. Now, I haven't used it yet. It does need cleaning because I do have a cat who loves to molt like furs going out of fashion. But that sits there just to remind me, not that I need it, that this is my tea making station. So I've got 3 tea strainers. One that I don't use, that's purely as a backup should both the other 2 break. And it just looks like this. It looks like a heart. So it looks like a heart, and it just pushes down to allow you to put tea in one side of it. It doesn't allow for a lot of tea, so, or at least I don't feel like it allows for a lot of tea, so I feel like it doesn't allow me to brew many cups of tea from one from one serving of tea that this allows for. I do prefer loose leaf tea. I was introduced to it actually by Witch Casket back in 2020, when there were lots of loose leaf teas included with each box. And when I say lots of, it was 1 tea per month, which I do actually have the majority of those, of that collection. It's just sitting right behind me. So here I've got the loose leaf teas up here, and then at the bottom is their new style, which is 2 individually wrapped tea bags of the same tea. I say tea, but there is a difference between a tea and a tisane, and I will explain that. Not many people do know what a tisane is, and I only discovered this last year, I think it was, through Erin Lefebvre, who is a plant priestess, and I love learning from her about all the different plants and how plant magic can be used in even everyday life. So this is my way of doing it, and that is through tea. Now, tea is only tea if it's got tea leaves in it. So this can be either black tea, green tea, or the slightly more elusive white tea. Now, the difference in the colour comes from how long it is left to dry for. So the less time it's left to dry, the more like fresh leaves it looks. I'm not entirely sure what the white tea is. I will include that in the description below for anyone who might want to know about it. Black tea is the main one, but of course there are many varieties of that. But when it comes to my teas, I have a little collection, some of which are sitting right here. I also have some caddies that are currently hidden by my kettle. I have boiled my kettle, so the hot water is nice and fresh. But this is how I do my tea. So I'm going to pop this to one side, just because I don't use that. I actually forgot about it until I was clearing out my kitchen a couple of weeks ago. But this is how I use mine. I've got, as I said, I've got 2 strainers, and they are ball strainers. So obviously I've got 2 dangly bits. Now, one is red jasper, So this one I tend to use when I feel like things need a bit more power, a bit more, or when I need to be a bit more courageous and brave. And the other is amethyst. It's a lovely little amethyst point. So I can use this one for healing, this one for a bit of an extra kick. I don't know if you can tell, but at the time of doing this, I have a bit of a cold. So I'm going to be using one of my particular brews, one of my favourites that I discovered late 2022. I think it might have been back in October, not August, not quite that far back, in October. A friend of mine gifted me a collection of teas, and I made my way slowly through them after the weather started getting a bit more cooler. Just because I don't like to drink tea in the summer, it's too hot for me. So I drink it in the winter. It's my favourite brew in the winter, depending on which brew it is. But I think I'm going to be using my amethyst. No, I'm not. I'm going to use my jasper because I feel like my health needs a little bit of a kick, a little bit of extra power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a very close eye on my cat Luna, who is going to probably try and jump up on the table that I have you sitting on at the moment. So as I said, I'm going to use the jasper just because I feel like I need a bit of an extra kick, a bit of extra power. But again, I could also use the amethyst one because amethyst I can use for healing. So there is that. So I have a choice. At any given time I have a choice. Typically I will use one strainer, clean it, wash it, and then use the other strainer. So I've always got one clean and one that I'm using. I don't know why, it's just how I do it. But for this, I'm going to show you what I do with my strainer. So I've got two of my favourite mugs here. I've got a mug that I got in a witch casket that happens to say tarot cards and tea leaves. I believe this was the September. This was either September 22 or October 22 witch casket. I did do the unboxing for that, so feel free to check that out. But yes, this is one of my favourite mugs, and it's a good size mug because I don't like to hold mugs by their handle unless absolutely necessary. So I'm more typically inclined to hold the actual bowl of the mug. So I've got that one, and then my other one is a mug I won in a competition from Wise Woman Witchery, which has the lovely logo and brand name, and it's a lovely mug, and it's got that side to it so I can hold it, and it's slightly confusing for me because if I do hold the mug by its handle, the actual brand is facing me. So we hold British, I'm going to say that, I'm British, we hold our mugs that way. It feels strange to hold them that way, but that could just be me because I'm right-handed, so I try and do everything, writing, holding a mug of tea. My drinks always go on the right-hand side. That could be why, I'm not entirely sure. It could just be me being strange, and I'm okay with that. But today I am actually going to use this mug today. So what I do is, in this lovely little bag, this spoon didn't come in this bag, different spoon came in it, but I have a lovely little wooden carved spoon. I do have a second one that I try and keep for my spell work, but this is my chosen spoon, I'm trying to herd cats out of here. That bell is Loki, that's Loki. Luna is keeping her distance. Don't know where she is, she's not in the kitchen. She's not in my kitchen, she's floating around elsewhere. So this is what I use to actually measure my blends. So as I said, I've got all of these loose leaf, although actually you're not loose leaf, you are actually a tea bag. I got free. I haven't tried it yet, just because when I've tried green teas before, they've been a little bit, it's either that or I wasn't used to them at the time. I will probably try them later on. This is Chinese green tea with jasmine flowers, but this is a tea bag. These are individual tea bags, so rather similar to the new Witch Casket Brews. So these I need to put down the bottom, but as you can see I've got my favourite teas out. These are all the loose leaf blends, and I do have two others that I keep separate, purely because I don't know where else to put them. I don't have specific caddies for them, but that is something I'm working on, because I have found a lovely tea company based in the UK that does source their actual teas from around the world and tell you where the tea itself is from. So if it's from India, it will have Indian on it. So for example, this masala chai tea, it does state on it perfectly balanced spicy Indian tea. So it does say that on there. And this is like the chai, the spicy chai. I know Twinings have their own, most supermarkets, grocery stores will have some form of chai tea. I love this tea in winter. It hugs you from the inside. It warms you up from the inside purely because of the spices that are in it. And I have actually written a blog post about some of my favourite teas, some of the teas that I tried last year, which I'll link in the description below, because I go through their different associations and what each tea could be used for based on the ingredients and their associations. But this is my winter tea. This was my only winter tea. It's not anymore, because I found a new blend which is sitting right behind. This is an invigorating lemongrass ginger blend. I love this blend. It's not specifically a tea. It says herbal tea on the label, but there's no tea leaves in it. The ingredients are literally lemongrass, ginger pieces, licorice root, peppermint, lemon peel and black peppercorns. And that's it. There's nothing else in it. So this isn't an actual proper tea, it's a tisane. So a tisane is a drink that doesn't have tea in it. It doesn't have any kind of tea leaves, black tea, green tea, white tea. There's none of that in this. It's just herbs. This I drank last year when I wasn't feeling well. I had a bit of a cold then, have a bit of a cold now. I'm going to brew a cup of this. So what I do is I just open the tin up, and what I do is I will open my tea strainer up, so it's got the half with the chain and crystal, and then there's the other half that I don't go near. So this part is what I use, this part I leave until I close it. But what I do, I'll move a little closer so you guys can see. But what I do is I will use this spoon to fill up half of this strainer. And that's all it is. It's half full, because then it gives the blend space to actually absorb the water, but also for the water to percolate through the blend. So a little bit more there. So that's about half. And then it literally is just closing it up and locking it shut, and that's my blend. But you can see there's still space. There's space for the water to percolate and brew. So that I will pop in my mug. So the blend goes back. This spoon goes away now. I will put that away. So it just lives in this little bag and lives on my little cabinet, my little unit here. Hello Luna, what are you doing? You just wanting to know what's going on? The only other thing that I do add to my tea is sugar. It is in the properly named sugar caddy, and that is the only thing that is in the right place in my little caddy collection. No, do you want to go out? Go in the living room. Go and have fun in there. I do have a sweet tooth, but I also feel like it sweetens the medicine that the blend holds for me. I don't like things that are bitter, and I only add 1.5 teaspoons no matter how big the mug. So that's all I add to that, and now it's just the water. And that brews for a couple of minutes. I pour the water over and through the strainer. This is the only other teaspoon that I try to use when I brew my teas. It's another witch casket item. So it's got a pentacle at the top and then the alchemical elemental symbols all down it, along with some Luna, the moon spirit, and I can never remember what the other 4 are or the right order for them. So that's my tea. But I do have quite a selection. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I've got about 10 blends. Apologies. Luna decided to be an incorrigible child. She's a darling and I love her to bits. But sometimes she just likes to get in the way, don't you? You're a darling. So this is the madam. This is the darling madam who loves the fact that I am by these cupboards, drawers but cupboards below, because this is where I keep their food. And she loves her food. You're a food monster, aren't you? But you're a darling. Right, get that way. So yes, that's what I do for my tea. I keep my clean strainer by the spoon trivet, which I love because it's in the shape of a teapot, but it also has witch's brew on it, which I think is quite cool. So that lives front and centre. I'm going to push my kettle. Apologies for the sound that makes, but now you can see it's nice and organised. I know where everything is. As you saw with the sugar caddy, I do have 2 other caddies. Go that way. I do have 2 other caddies. One states tea and the other states coffee. I can't consume coffee for medical reasons, but it's what I used to keep my loose leaf chai blend in. This was before I found my current tea merchants. So this is, it's where I keep the old blend, and I'm trying to use that up so that should I ever need a spare caddy, I've got one. And I might actually use it for what's in this little packet. This is a tangerine tea. It has black tea in it, but it's in a little tangerine skin. So, and then it's just been wrapped up, but that is an actual tangerine. And it's been wrapped up so that it keeps, but I haven't yet tried it. I probably will with this cold, but I've been trying to work out how to brew it. Apologies for bending close to you then. Luna's being incorrigible again. She's a darling and I love her. But so as well as that one, I've got 7 other blends that have their own caddies. I've got the Witch's Brew, holds my rose tea that I absolutely love. This is the tea I use for self-love when I feel I need a bit of love and care, and this is a tea because it's got the black tea, but it's also got rose oil and rose petals in it, not leaves. So that's that. This caddy was an item from the October 21 casket, I believe. But I quite like it. It's quite a funky little thing. I've got 5 teas from my current tea merchants. I do have a tea from a separate place, the place that the tea bag selection that my friend gifted me was from. But they all sit there nicely. I know they're all there. I've got different loose leaf blends. Some I've tried, some I haven't. I will work through them in due course. But as I said, in the coffee caddy, I've got my old chai blend. In the tea, the actual tea caddy, I have an Earl Grey blend. So this is, I can never remember what they are. It's I want to say it's bergamot oil, but that's the wrong one. But oh no, here we go. This is my old provider. So this is the Brew Tea Company. This is their box. This is one box. I think I can fit about half of this box in the caddy. But this has, there is bergamot oil in it. So it's black tea, orange peel, bergamot oil and marigold petals. And this is all environmentally friendly packaging. The cardboard can be recycled, the plastic can be composted. But yes, so that's my spare, that's my stash. This is my drinks cabinet. So I've got the tea bag selection in this lovely colourful box here. Rose tea that I couldn't fit in the caddy. I've got extra of the lemongrass ginger blend, and then I've got some other teas as well in there, and a couple of tisanes. I'm learning to love the herbal teas. The herbal teas can be so good. This lemongrass and ginger blend is about ready to come out. Literally all I do is I tap it just to get the worst of the excess water out. Stir it, just mix the sugar in, and that is now ready to be drunk. Technically, I can't drink things when things are too hot, but if I let that cool down for a little, it'll be drinkable, and that will be my brew for this evening. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This is just how I brew it. This blend, come on Luna, this blend doesn't need milk. I don't know why, I don't feel like it needs that extra creaminess added to it, but most of my teas, my actual teas, I will add milk. So milk's in my lovely fridge, but other than that, that is ready to go. I will only ever add milk after I've taken the strainer out as well. Again, it's just how I do it. This is an example. I try and make this into as much of a mindfulness ritual as possible, because it helps me to allow the herbs in the tea to work their magic, for me to almost commune with them and just learn from them. So I try and do it this way, just because that's how I do it. It's a little ritual in itself for me, because I can't brew tea when I'm in a rush for anything. The incorrigible kitten herself, she has had her dinner. She's just such a foodie. She just loves her food. But yes, this is how I brew my tea. I hope this has helped you with your own teas. My ritual of making tea. So this is what I do. This is what I love. I forgot to mention, I do have a couple of selenite obelisks that sit either side of this lovely floral tray, but with the fortune telling tea leaf reading mug between them. So that's how I make my tea. I hope you enjoy this. Hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it inspires you to explore how you could make tea into more of a magical ritual than it may otherwise have been. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do like this video, subscribe, and share it with anyone who loves their tea. I'll see you all soon. Stay safe, and blessings to all.